Welcome back. We are live from the United Nations in New York City. I'm Haslinda, Amin.
And I'm Romaine, Bostick. We just heard from 6 candidates vying to be the next Secretary General of the United Nations. We spent upwards of an hour and a half here peppering them with questions, and we got a lot of varied answers.
Oh, you're right. But you know, Romaine, it is worth noting, one of them could be the next Secretary General.
Could.
But we know that President Trump, according to some reports, he has other suggestions. I mean, he's talking about possibly the FIFA president becoming the man. But of course, the candidate will have to be approved by the 15 Security Council members.
And those Security Council members obviously have a veto power, of course, the permanent 5 members of that Security Council. But it gets to the heart of the issue as to exactly not only what those members want from their new Secretary General, but what do the people out there actually want? And we actually took a poll for the folks here in the audience to address some of those questions.
And what are the most important topics for the future Secretary General? That was the question posed to our audience. And of course, solving conflicts came in tops at 58%. Then we have protecting human rights coming in at 46%. Upholding the UN Charter, 45%. It is interesting when you hear the candidates speaking, they talked about rebuilding trust, rebuilding credibility. That seems to be key for the candidates.
Yeah, Macky Sall of Senegal used that word repeatedly. You even heard from Rafael Mariano Grossi from Argentina talking about this idea. I think he used the phrase a new deal with regards to the relationship that the UN has with its member states and, of course, with the people as well. It
is a challenging situation, though, because you know, credibility is at stake right now. I mean, a lot of questions, you know, where has the UN been when it comes to the wars that we're seeing, the conflicts that we're seeing around the world? It has not been present.
Well, it's kind of interesting, too. We heard from Maria Fernanda Espinosa talking about this idea of actually trying to prevent some of these conflicts before they start. And you pushed back on a couple of the responses there as to exactly how they would be able to negotiate with the world powers who are at the center of a lot of these conflicts and whether they would be receptive.
Well, the question is that paralysis, right? I mean, that veto power that the permanent 5 have. It takes only one of them to veto, and it's over.
And we should point out, this selection process is going on right now. There are straw polls behind the scenes to determine who is liked best. And at some point, probably in the month of September, we will actually have a selection. I do think we want to go to the next question because there were 3 questions that we polled our audiences on. I'm not sure we have the results up just quite yet here, but it really gets to this idea of exactly what the people are looking for when it comes to the priorities and obviously the idea of who's best suited to actually carry forward some of the reforms known as UN80.
You know, it is interesting because someone once said the role and the position of the Secretary General is an impossible role. But if you're looking for one, you can look back to history. You know, some talk about Dag Hammarskjöld. I mean, there's that street just down the road, and they talk about how he has been the epitome, the gold standard, if you wish, of someone who's been actively involved in making those decisions.
Well, and you can hear the people behind us. They just put one of the polls up on the screen here of who the audience actually thinks would be best suited to carry forward those UN80 reforms. Overwhelmingly, Caroline Rodriguez-Burkett at 46%. The next closest candidate is Michelle Bachelet at 14%.
And of course, we have Rebecca Greenspan at 13% too. You know, it is worth noting as well, in the 80-year history of the UN, there has never been a woman leading the organization. There has never been a woman Secretary General. So perhaps this could be an indication we could see the first.
Absolutely, and this is something that several of the candidates talked about in their prepared remarks, the idea that when we get forward, where we're going to have true representation. The final question, who convinced you the most in this town hall? And according to the audience polls, once again, Caroline Rodriguez-Burkett of Guyana, 49%.
Overwhelming. And then comes Maria Fernanda Espinosa. That's a tie with Macky Sall, by the way.
Absolutely. It was a wonderful evening, and I hope that our viewers and our audiences got a lot out of it.
That will do it for us at the United Nations.
This is Bloomberg.